Most people look at a monthly internet bill and see only a number, but very few ever stop to ask what invisible machinery, what silent risk, and what relentless ambition stands behind that price. When you look at Starlink's pricing, you are not just looking at a subscription, you are looking at a philosophy of scale, risk, and long-term thinking. The economics behind Starlink pricing are not built on shortcuts or temporary trends. They are built on rockets that must rise flawlessly, satellites that must function in the harsh vacuum of space, and hardware that must survive deserts, mountains, and frozen plains. To understand this system, you must begin with a simple but powerful truth. Every dollar in the price represents layers of engineering discipline and calculated courage. Satellite manufacturing alone demands advanced materials, precision electronics, and continuous iteration. These satellites are not handcrafted luxuries. They are mass-produced technological instruments designed to orbit Earth at high velocity while delivering stable connectivity. Manufacturing at this scale reduces costs over time, but it requires massive upfront investment. Launching those satellites is another layer of complexity. Rockets are not ordinary delivery trucks. They are controlled explosions engineered to defy gravity. Each launch carries enormous development costs, fuel expenses, testing procedures, and the ever-present risk of failure. Yet, through reusable rocket technology, SpaceX has redefined launch economics, lowering the cost per satellite and allowing expansion at a pace once considered impossible. Then comes the user hardware, the dish and terminal that connect individuals to a constellation above. That equipment must be affordable enough for families and businesses, yet powerful enough to communicate with fast-moving satellites in low Earth orbit. Pricing that hardware requires balance. Charge too much and adoption slows. Charge too little and sustainability weakens. The deeper question becomes how to create a model where accessibility and long-term survival coexist. This is where vision transforms into strategy. SpaceX does not treat Starlink as a short-term product cycle. It treats it as infrastructure, similar to railroads, power grids, or highways. Infrastructure requires patience because returns are rarely immediate. The pricing structure reflects this long-term orientation, where initial sacrifices can unlock exponential growth later. Elon Musk often emphasizes building systems that scale beyond today's expectations, and that mindset is visible in how Starlink is positioned. It is not priced merely to compete. It is priced to expand, evolve, and endure. Every satellite launched strengthens the network effect, increasing reliability and customer value over time. As adoption grows, economies of scale improve margins, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of innovation and affordability. What appears to be a simple monthly fee is actually a calculated step in financing a global communication layer. When you analyze Starlink's economics, you begin to see a bold experiment in modern capitalism. Invest heavily upfront, innovate relentlessly, reduce costs through engineering excellence, and expand access without compromising sustainability. This is not just about internet access in remote regions. It is about redefining how large-scale technological systems are financed and deployed in the 21st century. And once you understand that foundation, you begin to realize that the true cost of Starlink is not measured only in dollars, but in vision, persistence, and the willingness to think beyond the horizon. At this point, the story becomes more intense, because building infrastructure in space is not simply an engineering challenge. It is a financial gamble played on a global stage where margins are thin and expectations are enormous. Every satellite placed into orbit carries not only hardware but also risk, because one failure can echo across headlines and markets. The suspense lies in the fact that Starlink must constantly expand to remain competitive, yet expansion itself demands extraordinary capital. This is the paradox at the heart of its pricing model. To lower prices and reach more people, the network must grow. To grow, it must invest billions in satellites, launches, ground stations, research, and continuous upgrades. That cycle could easily collapse under its own weight if miscalculated. Yet this is where disciplined innovation enters the equation. Reusability of rockets dramatically reduces launch costs compared to traditional aerospace methods, turning what was once a rare event into a routine operation. Lower launch expenses reduce the cost per satellite, which over time influences the economics of every customer subscription. But sustainability requires more than cheaper launches. Satellites have limited lifespans and must eventually be replaced. Technology evolves quickly, and older versions must give way to more advanced designs with better bandwidth and efficiency. That means reinvestment is not optional, it is constant. The subscription model must therefore cover not just today's expenses, but tomorrow's replacements. User hardware pricing adds another layer of complexity, because the dish and terminal are often sold at near cost or even subsidized to encourage adoption. This strategy can accelerate growth, but it only works if long-term subscription revenue compensates for those initial discounts. The balance is delicate. If subscriber growth slows, financial pressure increases. If innovation stalls, competitors can capture market share. The system demands momentum. In this environment, pricing becomes more than arithmetic. It becomes a signal of confidence. It tells the market that the company believes it can scale fast enough to justify lower margins today for stronger returns tomorrow. There is also a broader economic perspective to consider. Traditional internet infrastructure depends on cables buried underground or stretched across oceans, requiring government permissions, regional monopolies, and years of construction. Starlink bypasses many of those limitations by building its backbone in orbit, creating a new competitive dynamic in global connectivity. That ambition carries both opportunity and scrutiny. Regulators, competitors, and investors all watch closely, questioning whether the model can truly sustain itself at scale. The suspense intensifies when you realize that this project is not just about profits. It is intertwined with larger missions, including funding, deep space exploration, and technological advancement. Elon Musk has repeatedly expressed that sustainable businesses can fund bold ambitions, and Starlink's economics are often viewed through that lens. If successful, it becomes a financial engine that supports even more daring projects. If it struggles, those ambitions face constraints. This tension creates a powerful narrative of risk and resilience. Every launch, every new satellite generation, and every pricing adjustment reflects ongoing recalibration between affordability and durability. Behind the scenes, engineers refine hardware to reduce production costs. Data scientists optimize network efficiency, and financial teams model scenarios that stretch years into the future. What customers experience as a simple internet connection is in reality the surface layer of an intricate economic ecosystem. And as the constellation grows denser, performance improves, attracting more subscribers, which further strengthens the model. The suspense lies in whether growth will outpace costs fast enough to secure long-term stability. So far, the momentum suggests that disciplined scaling and relentless iteration are steering the project forward. But the journey remains dynamic, demanding courage and constant adaptation. When you step back and observe the full picture, you begin to understand that the economics behind Starlink pricing are ultimately a lesson in long-term thinking, a reminder that transformative systems are rarely built on comfort or short-term profit. They are built on belief, structured discipline, and the courage to invest before results are guaranteed. Starlink challenges the conventional mindset that demands immediate returns, because infrastructure at a planetary scale cannot be rushed without consequence. It must be layered carefully, satellite by satellite, launch by launch, subscriber by subscriber. This is where the philosophy often associated with Elon Musk becomes relevant, not as a personality-driven narrative, but as a principle-driven one. The principle is simple yet demanding. Build something that matters for decades, even if the early years are financially intense and operationally complex. Pricing, in this context, becomes a bridge between vision and reality. It must remain accessible enough to attract users in rural towns, developing regions, maritime industries, and remote research stations, yet strong enough to sustain research, satellite replacement, bandwidth upgrades, and customer support. That balancing act reflects a broader truth about ambition. If you underprice without a path to sustainability, the system weakens. If you overprice without delivering exceptional value, trust erodes. Real leadership finds equilibrium between those extremes. As the constellation expands, the network grows more resilient, latency decreases, and coverage improves, reinforcing the idea that early investments compound over time. This compounding effect is the hidden power behind infrastructure economics. Each new satellite strengthens the whole system, increasing the value of every existing subscription. The model begins to resemble a living organism that adapts, learns, and scales. Yet the deeper inspiration lies beyond balance sheets and engineering diagrams. It lies in the willingness to redefine what is possible in global connectivity. For decades, access to reliable internet has been uneven, shaped by geography, politics, and economic inequality. Starlink introduces the possibility that connectivity can be delivered from above, reducing dependency on traditional ground limitations. That concept carries profound implications for education, entrepreneurship, emergency response, and scientific collaboration. When you view pricing through that lens, it becomes more than a business decision. It becomes a strategic lever that influences how quickly the world can close digital gaps. The long-term investment narrative is not about speculation, but about constructing a communication layer that future generations may take for granted. Just as highways once opened commerce and electricity once transformed industry, satellite internet could reshape opportunity in ways that are difficult to measure today. The courage required to attempt such a transformation is matched by the discipline required to sustain it. Markets fluctuate, competition intensifies, technology evolves, and yet the mission continues forward through calculated iteration. That persistence carries a motivational lesson for anyone pursuing ambitious goals. Vision without execution is fantasy, but execution without vision lacks direction. The economics behind Starlink pricing demonstrate how vision and execution must align consistently over time. It shows that affordability and sustainability are not opposing forces, but interconnected strategies when managed with clarity and patience. And as observers, entrepreneurs, or dreamers, we can extract a powerful insight from this journey. Long-term impact demands resilience, intelligent risk, and an unwavering commitment to improvement. If you're benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.